in your earnings just a few weeks ago, you talked about growth in the government sector. That was leading up it was, I believe, 20% of the additional annual contract value that you guys added. And of course, we've got Amazon's reInvent conference happening right now. Lots of talk about innovation in the cloud. How much running room is there, and have you seen any slowdown in demand? Because stocks like ServiceNow have turned kind of volatile as people are wondering how much growth there is left in the segment of tech.
Well, quite the contrary, John. I think we're still in the very early days of adoption of cloud in the enterprise. And you see it in companies, you see it in governments. Governments are now aggressively embracing cloud, not just the US government, governments all over the world. Because just like in our consumer lives, where cloud-based applications gave us better user experiences, hid the complexity and greater efficiency, the same thing's now happening in the enterprise and in governments, where they need to deliver better experiences for their customers and their employees, and they need the productivity, and cloud can deliver all three. So if it were a baseball game, I'd say we're in the second or third inning.
Tell me about the broader implications of this move that SAP recently made to buy Qualtrics, and the reason why I think it's relevant to you guys, you both deal with a lot of internal data inside the enterprise, how employees are communicating with each other to keep the business running efficiently, also how they're communicating with customers. SAP's thesis was sort of you need to bring all of these data sets together to run the business better. Are you seeing that, and is that part of the value that ServiceNow is trying to drive?
Absolutely. What I hear from customers is that they want to adopt 4 to 6 core strategic platforms, the sort of modern tech stack of the future. And typically that includes a Salesforce, a Workday, a ServiceNow, maybe an Office 365, and an SAP. And they want to put as much as they can on those core platforms and consolidate their data, and in Adobe as well.
I was about to ask you about that, okay.
Adobe. Shantanu would kill me if I didn't mention Adobe. And take all that data together and deliver better experiences for their customers and better experiences for their employees. And what ServiceNow does, sort of uniquely among that, is we help build some of the connective tissue across the different platforms. So let's take a small example like employee onboarding. Employee onboarding is a classic bad experience you give to your first employees or the early employees, right? They need to go to security to get their badge. They need to go to facilities to get their desk. They need to go to IT to get their laptop. They need to go to another part of IT to get their email. They need to re-enter the same information in the HR system, in the payroll system, the T&E system. What ServiceNow does is in one simple application, one simple mobile application, makes that happen all in one mobile app. It ties into all those systems. It ties into Workday, it ties into SAP, it ties into all the systems, but hides the complexity from the employee so the employee just has a great experience. That delivers better experience and more productivity. And so I think all of these platforms together can make transformative change in how work's done in the future.
It's funny, I don't hear you saying IBM's name very much when we talk about cloud. And I know you may not want to take a shot here, but I'm curious as to your thoughts about Red Hat and that acquisition and whether that is going to bring them into hybrid cloud in a significant way and or make them part of the conversation.
Well, sure. I think cloud it's a little like mobile. You and I were just talking about this. Mobile is a huge phenomenon that's happened in our consumer lives over the last 10 years, right? And there's been plenty of growth for multiple winners in mobile. The same thing's happening with cloud and the enterprise. And as companies shift toward cloud, there'll be platforms like the ones I mentioned on the software layer, and IBM has many large customers that are migrating to cloud, and I think this acquisition will help IBM help those customers migrate successfully to the cloud.
I want to go back to the comments you just made about government opportunities for a minute. How big are those opportunities? Because I know I go to the IRS website, for example, they are not in the 21st century, no. And I'm not so sure investors are spending that much time paying attention to possible contracts out there.
So this I see a shift here. 2-3 years ago, governments were suspicious of cloud. They were worried about its security. That has changed, and that has changed in a powerful way. And governments are under pressure to deliver better services to their citizens, whether it's the IRS or any other sector, and drive efficiency and productivity. So you see very large government entities embracing cloud. You saw the contract yesterday with Microsoft. We're seeing it both in the federal government in the US, federal governments around the world, and many state and local governments, because cloud platforms like ServiceNow enable them to drive tremendous productivity and provide better experiences.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about Microsoft versus Amazon, because we've got Microsoft's Judson Althoff coming off in just a couple of minutes here on the program, and we had Andy Jassy yesterday. Today, AWS has sort of announced Outposts, this hybrid arrangement where they're going to have hardware in people's data centers. I know you've got co-located data centers now. You're not entirely running ServiceNow's business in the public cloud. How is that competition? Amazon is trying to project that they're far ahead, and it's not really even a two-horse race between them and Microsoft. How does it look from where you sit?
Well, again, I go back to its early innings. There is enormous growth left with cloud at the infrastructure level and at the software level. And at the infrastructure level, where AWS and Azure and Google Cloud play, you see that cloud adoption happening around the world. So I think there's going to be a lot of growth for both organizations. And if you talk to customers, customers don't want to be sole sourced on this. Customers want to have choice. So that even in the public cloud, they're often embracing one or two or three different public cloud providers to make sure that they're mitigating their risk and they're getting the best of what each of those platforms have.
John, having you here on set, I can't help but be reminded of your days and our days when you were the CEO of eBay. And of course, the question was split or not split. What would you tell CEOs, given the split of PayPal and eBay and conceivably what it has done, who are thinking about that as a possibility when they look at their businesses?
Well, one of the things, David, I've been struck by is just the value and the power of focus. So eBay and PayPal had a lot of synergy over time, but as PayPal grew more and more off of eBay, and eBay got to be maybe 20% or less of PayPal's business, it was time to separate. And I'm still chair of PayPal, so I get to see PayPal firsthand, and the value of focus has been extraordinary. And by the way, Dan Schulman's doing a terrific job leading PayPal, but the value of focus. And so that leadership team feels accountable, and it's just different than when you're a division of a larger company.
Yeah.
And so I would say it's been a very positive thing for both organizations. eBay's done well, PayPal's done well, and shareholders have done well in the process.